The grand ballroom buzzed with music and laughter as Jessica twirled a glass of champagne in her hand. The chandelier's soft glow bathed the room in a golden hue, reflecting off her stunning red dress that fit her perfectly. Her smile was radiant, drawing attention from many, including her colleague Michael. "Jessica, you look absolutely gorgeous tonight," Michael commented, his eyes lingering on her. "Thank you, Michael," Jessica replied playfully. "You don't look too bad yourself." Michael was charming and confident, embodying everything Jessica felt was lacking in her marriage. Her husband, Jack, stood across the room, watching her, his heart heavy with suspicion and hurt. He had noticed the subtle changes in her behavior the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the growing distance between them. Jack took a sip of his drink, his gaze never leaving Jessica. He saw her laughing at something Michael said, her hand lightly touching his arm. The sight made his stomach churn. He had confronted Jessica about her behavior before, but she always brushed it off, insisting he was being paranoid. As the night wore on, Jessica's flirtation with Michael became more blatant. She leaned closer to him, whispered in his ear, and laughed loudly at his jokes. Jack's grip tightened around his glass as he watched. "Would you like to dance?" Michael asked, his voice smooth. "I'd love to," Jessica replied, her eyes sparkling. They moved to the dance floor, and Jack's heart pounded in his chest. He couldn't take it anymore. He needed to confront her and end this humiliation. He walked over to the dance floor, his face a mask of calm determination. "May I cut in?" Jack asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. Jessica glanced at him dismissively. "Oh, Jack, can't you see I'm busy?" Jack ignored her words, turning to Michael. "I think it's time you found someone else to dance with." Michael raised his hands in mock surrender. "No problem, man. I'll leave you two to it." As Michael walked away, Jack turned back to Jessica. "What do you think you're doing?" Jessica laughed, a harsh sound devoid of humor. "Relax, Jack. It's just a dance." "It's not just a dance," Jack said, his voice low and controlled. "You've been flirting with him all night." Jessica rolled her eyes. "You're being ridiculous." Jack's jaw clenched. "Am I? You think I haven't noticed the late nights, the secretive phone calls? Do you think I'm blind?" Jessica sighed, her patience wearing thin. "Jack, I'm not your property. I don't need you watching my every move. If you don't find out, no harm done." Jack stared at her, his heart breaking. "So that's it? You think you can do whatever you want as long as I don't find out?" Jessica shrugged. "I'm just having fun, Jack. Don't make it into something it's not." Jack took a step back, his face a mask of pain and anger. "If that's how you feel, then maybe we need to reevaluate our marriage." Jessica looked away, her expression unreadable. "Maybe we do." Jack turned and walked away, his mind racing with plans. He couldn't let this go on any longer. He needed to take control and protect himself from the pain she was causing. As he made his way through the crowd, he heard Jessica's laughter echoing behind him, a cruel reminder of the betrayal that had shattered his world. Jack found a quiet corner and pulled out his phone. He scrolled through his contacts until he found the number he was looking for. Taking a deep breath, he dialed the number and waited. "Hello?" A voice answered. "Hey, it's Jack," he said, his voice steady. "I need your help." The night continued, and Jessica felt a sense of triumph. She had pushed Jack away, asserting her independence and satisfying her need for excitement. She returned to Michael, who was waiting with a drink in hand. "Everything okay?" Michael asked, a hint of concern in his voice. "Everything's fine," Jessica replied, her smile back in place. "Jack just needed a reality check." Michael nodded, handing her the drink. "Well, I'm glad you're back. I've been waiting for you." Jessica took a sip of the champagne, feeling a rush of exhilaration. She leaned in closer to Michael, their conversation becoming more intimate as the night went on. Meanwhile, Jack was in a quiet room discussing his plans with a friend he could trust. "Are you sure about this, Jack?" his friend asked, his voice filled with concern. "I have to do something," Jack replied, his voice resolute. "I can't let her keep humiliating me like this." His friend nodded, understanding the pain in Jack's eyes. "All right, what do you need me to do?" Jack outlined his plan, each step carefully thought out. He would gather evidence, document everything, and confront Jessica with the undeniable truth. He knew it would be difficult, but he couldn't see any other way. The gala was winding down, and Jessica felt a mix of fatigue and satisfaction. She had savored her evening with Michael, enjoying the attention and the thrill of something new. But as she headed home with Jack, a nagging sense of guilt started to settle in. Jack drove in silence, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. Jessica glanced at him, feeling the tension in the air. "Jack, are you really that upset?" she asked, her voice softer now, trying to break the silence. Jack didn't respond right away. He took a deep breath, struggling to keep his emotions in check. "Jessica, we need to talk, but not tonight." Jessica nodded, a wave of unease washing over her. "Okay, we'll talk tomorrow." That night, while Jessica slept, Jack stayed awake, his mind racing with thoughts of betrayal and plans for the future. He knew that tomorrow would bring tough conversations and hard choices, but he was prepared. He had to be. The gala had been a turning point, a moment of clarity for Jack. He could no longer ignore the signs, the late nights, the flirtations. Jessica's words had cut deep, but they had also given him the resolve he needed. Tomorrow, he would confront her with the truth, and their lives would change forever. As the morning sun filtered through the curtains, a soft glow illuminated the bedroom. Jessica woke up with a pounding headache. Her eyes fluttered open, and for a moment, she lay still, trying to piece together the events of the previous night. The memories came flooding back. She instinctively reached out, expecting to find Jack beside her, but his side of the bed was cold and empty. Confused, Jessica sat up, rubbing her temples to ease the headache. She stumbled into the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face to clear her mind. As she looked around the bedroom, her eyes fell on a suitcase placed neatly on the floor. Her heart skipped a beat as she approached it cautiously. There on the bed beside the suitcase lay a note written in Jack's unmistakable handwriting. "Jessica, you have until midnight to leave town. Jack." The words hit Jessica like a physical blow. Panic surged through her veins as she read them again, trying to comprehend their meaning. What had happened last night? What had she done to deserve this ultimatum? She rushed out of the bedroom, her bare feet padding softly on the carpeted floor. The living room was silent, save for the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. Her eyes scanned the room frantically, searching for any sign of Jack, but he was nowhere to be found. Instead, Jessica's gaze fell upon Michael, her colleague from the gala, lying unconscious on the couch. A half-empty bottle of Jack's finest whiskey stood on the coffee table beside him, its contents a testament to the night's events. "Michael!" Jessica cried out, shaking him gently. "Wake up!" Michael groaned and stirred, his eyes fluttering open slowly. He blinked, trying to orient himself in the unfamiliar surroundings. "Jessica, where am I?" Jessica's voice trembled with urgency. "Michael, what happened last night? Do you remember anything?" Michael rubbed his temples, wincing as he sat up. I remember the gala, and then I think I drank too much. How did I get here?" Jessica's mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments of memory. "Jack, he must have brought you here." Michael looked around, confusion etched on his face. "Where is Jack? Is he okay?" "I don't know," Jessica admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's gone, and he left this note for me." Michael frowned, his expression clouded with concern. "What does it say?" Jessica handed him the note, her hands trembling. Michael read it silently, his brow furrowing deeper with each passing second. "Midnight. Leave town. What does he mean by this?" "I don't know," Jessica repeated, her voice thick with panic. "I thought everything was fine. I didn't think he'd react like this." Michael sighed, placing the note back on the bed. "Jessica, maybe you should call him, talk to him, figure this out." Jessica nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. She reached for her phone on the coffee table, but her heart sank when she saw the screen was dark. "My phone. It's dead." "Here, let me help," Michael offered, handing her a charger from the nearby drawer. Jessica plugged in her phone, anxiously watching as the screen lit up with a faint glow. She dialed Jack's number, holding her breath as the phone rang, but there was no answer. Just the sound of the ringing echoing in her ears, unanswered questions hanging in the air. "He's not picking up," Jessica said, her voice trembling. "What do I do now?" Michael hesitated, unsure of what to say. Maybe you should leave town just for a while. Give him some space to cool off." Jessica shook her head adamantly. "No, I can't just leave, not like this. I need to talk to him, to explain." Michael sighed, running a hand through his tousled hair. "Jessica, I don't think he wants to talk right now. He's hurt and he's angry. Maybe it's best if you give him some time. Jessica's eyes filled with tears, her emotions threatening to engulf her. I can't lose him, Michael. I love him so much. Michael's face softened with sympathy. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. I know you do, Jessica, but you need to give him some time to process all this. Pushing things could make it worse. Jessica nodded slowly, feeling defeated and confused. How did it come to this, Michael? What have I done? Michael squeezed her shoulder gently. I wish I had the answers, Jessica. Right now, you need to focus on yourself. Figure out what you want and think about how to fix this. Jessica wiped her tears away, her determination strengthening. You're right. I have to talk to him, to make him understand. Michael nodded, offering a small, encouraging smile. I'll stay here with you if you need me, no matter what you decide to do. Jessica nodded gratefully, feeling a flicker of hope amid the chaos. She knew she had to face Jack and deal with the consequences of her actions. Whether he would forgive her or not, she had to try. With a deep breath, Jessica picked up her phone again and dialed Jack's number once more, hoping he would answer this time. The clock on the wall ticked relentlessly as Jessica paced back and forth in the empty living room. Hours had passed since she found Jack's ultimatum, and her anxiety grew with each passing minute. The message on her phone from an unknown number stared back at her, a stark reminder of the seriousness of her situation. Leave by midnight, or the consequences will be worse. I have everything documented. Jack tears streamed down Jessica's face as she read the message again. She collapsed onto the couch, overwhelmed by the weight of her choices and the pain of losing Jack. How had it come to this? She had never imagined their marriage could unravel so quickly, so completely. A soft groan interrupted her thoughts, and Jessica looked up to see Michael stirring on the couch. He rubbed his eyes and sat up slowly, blinking in confusion as he tried to piece together the events of the night before. Jessica? Michael's voice was hoarse with sleep. What's happening? Why am I here? Jessica swallowed hard, her voice trembling. Jack, he found out about us. He's kicked me out. Michael's eyes widened in shock. Kicked you out? But why? I thought everything was fine between you two. Jessica shook her head, her hands trembling in her lap. It's not fine, Michael. He saw us at the gala and he couldn't take it anymore. He left me this note telling me to leave town by midnight. Michael ran a hand through his hair, his expression filled with concern. Midnight? That's barely a few hours away. What are you going to do? Jessica wiped away her tears, her mind racing with fear and uncertainty. I don't know, Michael. I have nowhere to go, no one to turn to. I'm alone. Michael reached out, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. You're not alone, Jessica. I'm here for you. We'll figure this out together. Jessica nodded weakly, grateful for Michael's support amidst the chaos. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation hanging heavy in the air. Jessica knew she had to make a decision soon. She couldn't stay here, not with Jack's threat looming over her. I have to leave, Jessica said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I have to find somewhere safe to go. Michael nodded, his expression serious. Do you have everything you need? Money? Clothes? Jessica shook her head. I packed a few things, but it's not much. I don't have much money either. We'll figure it out, Michael assured her, his voice steady. Let's start by finding you a place to stay tonight. Somewhere safe where Jack won't find you. Jessica nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope amidst the despair. Okay. Thank you, Michael. I don't know what I would do without you. Michael offered a reassuring smile. You don't have to figure it out alone, Jessica. I'm here. They spent the next hour making arrangements. Michael helped Jessica find a small hotel nearby where she could stay temporarily. He offered to cover the cost, insisting that she needed a safe place to gather her thoughts and make a plan. As they gathered her few belongings and headed towards the door, Jessica paused, her gaze lingering on the empty house she once called home. Tears welled up in her eyes as she realized the enormity of what had happened. I'll come back for the rest of my things later, Jessica said quietly, her voice breaking. Michael squeezed her hand gently. Take your time, Jessica. We'll take it one step at a time. They left the house together, Michael driving Jessica to the hotel in silence. The streets passed by in a blur, Jessica lost in her thoughts. She felt a mix of emotions: grief for the life she had lost, fear for an uncertain future, and guilt for the pain she had caused Jack. When they arrived at the hotel, Michael helped Jessica check in and settle into her room. She thanked him again, her voice thick with emotion. Thanks for everything, Michael, Jessica said with heartfelt appreciation. Michael smiled gently. You're welcome, Jessica. Try to get some rest tonight. Tomorrow, we'll start figuring out the next steps. Jessica nodded, closing the door behind him as he left. Alone in the modest hotel room, she collapsed onto the bed, her emotions overwhelming her. She buried her face in her hands, feeling the immense weight of her choices. As she lay there, the reality of her situation sank in. She had lost it all: her marriage, her home, her sense of security. Now she faced a future filled with uncertainty and regret. Yet in the midst of the darkness, a small spark of determination flickered within her. She couldn't change the past, but she could shape her future. She had to find a way to make amends, to rebuild her life from the ruins of her mistakes. With a deep breath, Jessica wiped away her tears and sat up. She took out her phone and began making a list of tasks she needed to complete, people she could reach out to, and plans she could develop. She didn't know where this journey would lead, but one thing was certain: she couldn't give up. Not now, not ever. Months passed since Jessica left, and Jack threw himself into rebuilding his life. The divorce was finalized quickly, and although the legal process was a blur of paperwork and meetings, Jack felt an odd sense of relief once it was over. He had made his decision, and now he could move forward. He immersed himself in his work with renewed focus, spending long hours at the office. It was a distraction, a way to keep his mind busy and avoid dwelling on the past. His colleagues noticed the change in him: more focused, more driven than ever before. Outside of work, Jack sought solace in his hobbies. He spent weekends hiking in the mountains, finding peace in the solitude of nature. He rediscovered his love for photography, capturing stunning landscapes that mirrored the newfound clarity in his life. But despite the busyness of work and hobbies, there was an emptiness, a persistent ache in his heart that refused to fade. Jack missed the companionship, the warmth of a loving partner by his side. He missed having someone to share his thoughts, dreams, and life with. One evening, encouraged by a close friend, Jack hesitantly signed up for a dating site. He browsed through profiles with a mix of hesitation and curiosity, unsure of what he was seeking but open to exploring new possibilities. That's when he stumbled upon Sarah's profile: a radiant smile, eyes full of kindness that seemed to reach through the screen and touch his soul. Intrigued, Jack sent her a message, not expecting much, but hoping for a chance to connect with someone who could understand his journey. To his surprise, she responded almost immediately. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, as if they had known each other for years rather than minutes. They discovered shared interests, similar values, and a deep appreciation for life's simple pleasures. They agreed to meet for coffee, a casual outing that turned into hours of laughter and conversation. Jack found himself drawn to Sarah's warmth, her genuine nature, and the way she made him feel at ease. It was a stark contrast to the tension and uncertainty that had plagued his marriage to Jessica. As weeks turned into months, Jack and Sarah's relationship blossomed. They explored new restaurants, took weekend trips to nearby towns, and shared quiet moments under the stars. Jack was cautious at first, afraid to let himself hope for a future filled with happiness after the pain of his past. But Sarah was patient and understanding, giving him the space he needed to heal, while gently reminding him of the joy that life could offer. She listened to his stories, comforted him during moments of doubt, and stood by his side as he navigated the complexities of moving on. One sunny afternoon, while walking hand in hand through a vibrant city park, Jack realized he had found something he thought was lost forever: peace. He looked at Sarah, her laughter echoing through the air, and knew in his heart that she was the one he wanted to build a future with. They talked about their dreams of traveling the world, starting a family, and creating a home filled with love and laughter. Sarah's eyes sparkled with excitement, mirroring the hope and joy that Jack felt swelling within him. Months turned into years, and Jack proposed to Sarah on a serene beach at sunset, a moment of perfect clarity and overwhelming love. She said yes without hesitation, her eyes shimmering with tears of happiness as they embraced, knowing that their journey together was just beginning. They married surrounded by friends and family in a ceremony filled with laughter, tears, and promises of forever. Jack stood at the altar, gazing into Sarah's eyes, feeling a sense of completeness he had never known before. They built a life together, a home filled with love, laughter, and the pitter-patter of tiny feet. Sarah gave birth to their first child, a son with Jack's eyes and Sarah's smile. They welcomed 2 more children, a daughter with a passion for art, and a second son with a knack for making everyone laugh. Jack found joy in fatherhood, in watching his children grow and thrive, in being present for every milestone and bedtime story. Sarah brought light and warmth into their home, her love grounding him during moments of doubt and uncertainty. Years passed, and Jack's life changed in ways he had never thought possible. He discovered peace and happiness, filling the emptiness left by Jessica's departure. He learned to forgive, not just Jessica, but also himself for past mistakes. One sunny afternoon, during a family trip to a bustling city, Jack noticed a familiar figure sitting alone on a park bench, a woman with disheveled hair and clothes worn thin by time. His heart skipped a beat as he recognized Jessica, the woman who had once been his wife. Sarah, sensing the shift in Jack's demeanor, followed his gaze to the woman on the bench. She squeezed his hand gently, sensing the swirl of emotions within him. "Jack." Sarah's voice was soft and filled with concern. Jack took a deep breath, his eyes never leaving Jessica's figure in the distance. Memories flooded his mind, the pain, the betrayal, and the journey that had led him to this moment of peace and contentment. He turned to Sarah, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of gratitude and love. "I have everything I need right here," he said quietly, his voice steady with conviction. Sarah smiled, understanding shining in her eyes as she nodded in silent agreement. Together they continued walking, their children laughing and playing ahead of them, a testament to the new beginnings they had forged together. As they walked away, Jack cast one last glance over his shoulder at Jessica, a woman he had loved and lost, whose presence had once filled his days with turmoil and heartache. But now, as he embraced Sarah and their children, Jack knew that he had found his way back to happiness. A happiness built on forgiveness, love, and the promise of a future filled with endless possibilities. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the bustling city streets as Jack and his family drove through unfamiliar neighborhoods. They were on a road trip, exploring new places and creating cherished memories together. In the back seat, their children giggled and chatted excitedly, their voices filling the car with joy and innocence. As they approached a busy intersection, Jack's attention was drawn to a figure sitting on the curb, a woman with disheveled hair and worn clothes, her face marked by years of hardship. His heart skipped a beat as he recognized her. It was Jessica, his Jessica, the woman who had once been his wife. She looked up briefly, her eyes meeting Jack's for a fleeting moment before dropping away, as if unable to bear the weight of his gaze. Her expression was one of resignation, her shoulders slumped with defeat. Sarah noticed his sudden change in demeanor and followed his gaze to the woman on the curb. Concern furrowed her brow as she asked softly, "Do you know her?" Jack hesitated, the memories of their tumultuous past flooding his mind, the betrayal, the pain, the anguish of losing the woman he had loved. He took a deep breath, steadying himself before answering in a quiet voice, "Yes, I did once." Sarah placed a comforting hand on his arm, her touch grounding him in the present. "What happened?" she asked gently, sensing the weight of the unspoken history between them. Jack glanced at his children in the rearview mirror, their laughter ringing through the car. He thought of the life they had built together, the love, the laughter, the moments that had healed his wounded heart. "It's a long story," Jack began slowly, his voice tinged with sadness and regret. "Jessica and I, we were married once, but things didn't work out." Sarah nodded understandingly, her gaze softening with compassion. She knew that Jack carried scars from his past, wounds that had shaped the man he had become. "Did you know she was here?" Sarah's voice trailed off, unable to find the right words. Jack shook his head, his eyes never leaving Jessica's figure on the curb. "No, I had no idea." Silence settled between them, as they watched Jessica from a distance, each lost in their own thoughts. The light turned green, and Jack reluctantly pulled away from the intersection, leaving Jessica behind in the rearview mirror. They continued their journey through the city, but Jessica's presence lingered in Jack's mind. He found himself reflecting on their tumultuous past, the arguments, the broken promises, the shattered dreams. He had loved Jessica once, with a passion that had consumed him, but in the end, their love had crumbled under the weight of betrayal and heartache. As the day faded into dusk and the city lights flickered to life, Jack's thoughts turned to the life he had now, Sarah by his side. Their children laughing in the back seat. They stopped at a quaint diner for dinner, the atmosphere warm and inviting. Over burgers and fries, Sarah gently broached the subject that weighed heavily on both their minds. "Are you okay, Jack?" she asked softly, her concern palpable. Jack sighed, stirring his coffee absently. I didn't expect to see her like that. It's been years since—" Sarah reached across the table, squeezing his hand reassuringly. "It's okay to feel unsettled, Jack. Seeing someone from your past, especially under those circumstances, it's natural to feel this way." Jack nodded, appreciating her understanding. "Thank you, Sarah. I just didn't expect it to bring back so many memories." Sarah smiled gently. "Memories are a part of who we are, but they don't define our future. We define our future together." Jack looked into her eyes, feeling a renewed sense of peace and love. "You're right. Thank you for being here, for understanding." They finished their meal, the warmth of their connection helping to ease the weight of the past. As they left the diner and continued their journey, Jack felt a sense of closure. He had faced his past and found that his future was brighter and more hopeful than he had ever imagined. "I know," Jack murmured, his eyes distant. "I thought I had moved on, that I had made peace with everything. But seeing her like that, it brought back memories, feelings I thought had buried." Sarah nodded, her expression filled with sympathy. "You don't need to figure it all out right now. Just remember, I'm here for you, no matter what." Jack managed a faint smile, grateful for Sarah's unwavering support. "Thank you, Sarah, for understanding." They finished their meal in companionable silence, each lost in their thoughts. Outside, the city was alive with activity, the night sky dotted with stars. As they drove back to their hotel, Jack stole glances at their sleeping children in the back seat, their innocence stark against the backdrop of adult complexities. He thought of Jessica, pondering what had led her down her current path. Amidst the questions and uncertainties, one thing remained clear: his heart belonged to Sarah and their children. They were his present and future, the light guiding him through the darkness of his past. And as they settled into their hotel room for the night, Jack held Sarah close, finding solace in her warmth and the promise of tomorrow. They fell asleep intertwined, their breathing synchronized in the quiet rhythm of love and forgiveness. Outside, the city slept peacefully, unaware of the reunion that had stirred long-buried emotions and memories. For Jack, it was a reminder of how far he had come, of the second chances and new beginnings that had shaped his journey. And as the night deepened into dawn, he closed his eyes, embracing the peace Sarah had brought into his life, a peace he once thought impossible to find. The light turned green, casting a verdant glow over the intersection as Jack drove away, leaving Jessica behind on the curb. His heart was heavy with a mix of emotions: pity for Jessica's plight, relief at having moved on, and above all, a profound sense of closure. He knew in that moment he had made the right choice for his future and family. Jack squeezed Sarah's hand gently, grateful for her unwavering presence beside him. Her touch grounded him, reminding him of the strength and stability he had found in their relationship. Glancing in the rearview mirror at their children in the back seat, he felt a surge of love and protectiveness. "They're asleep," Sarah murmured, her voice soft with tenderness. "Yeah," Jack replied, his voice tinged with relief. Thankfully, they didn't notice. Sarah nodded, her gaze fixed on the road ahead. "It's probably for the best. They don't need to know about Jessica." Jack swallowed hard, his throat tight with unspoken emotions. No, they don't. Silence settled between them, the hum of the engine filling the car as they continued their journey through unfamiliar streets. Jack reflected on the chance encounter with Jessica, the unexpected twist that had stirred long-buried memories and emotions. I didn't expect to see her like that, Jack admitted quietly, breaking the silence. I thought I had moved on, but… Sarah turned to him, her eyes filled with understanding. It's okay to feel shaken, Jack. Seeing someone from your past, especially under those circumstances. Yeah, Jack murmured, his mind still reeling from the encounter. It just brought back memories I thought I had laid to rest. Sarah reached out, her fingers brushing against Jack's cheek in a comforting gesture. You've come a long way, Jack. We both have. Jack nodded, grateful for Sarah's reassuring presence. I know, and I'm thankful for everything we have. They drove in silence for a while longer, the city lights casting a warm glow over the nighttime streets. Jack replayed moments from his past with Jessica, their early days filled with hope and promise, the gradual unraveling of their marriage, and the painful realization of her betrayal. I loved her once, Jack began softly, his voice barely above a whisper, with everything I had. Sarah listened quietly, her heart aching for the pain he had endured. I know, she replied gently, but sometimes love isn't enough. Jack nodded, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. Yeah, sometimes it's not. They arrived at their hotel, the familiar sight offering comfort amidst the emotional turmoil. Jack parked the car and turned off the engine, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. I think seeing Jessica today, it made me realize how far I've come, Jack admitted, his voice tinged with relief. Sarah reached over, her hand finding his once more. You've grown stronger, Jack. And you've built a beautiful life for us. Jack smiled faintly, his heart swelling with gratitude for Sarah's unwavering support. I have, haven't I? They stepped out of the car and walked hand in hand to their hotel room. Inside, the air was quiet and still, offering a sanctuary from the outside world. Jack closed the door behind them, exhaling slowly as he leaned against it. Sarah wrapped her arms around him, holding him close. You're okay, Jack? She whispered, her voice a soothing balm to his soul. We're okay. Jack nodded, his arms encircling her in a tight embrace. Yeah, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. We're okay. They stood together in the silence, finding solace in each other's presence. The weight of the past seemed lighter now, overshadowed by the love and understanding they shared. As they settled into bed that night, Jack held Sarah close, feeling a deep sense of peace settle over him. He knew that Jessica's unexpected appearance had stirred memories and emotions, but it had also reaffirmed the choices he had made, the path he had taken to find healing and happiness. Outside, the city slept peacefully, unaware of the quiet resolution that had unfolded in the lives of Jack and Sarah. For them, the encounter with Jessica had brought closure, a final chapter in a story of love, loss, and ultimately, resilience. And as Jack closed his eyes, he felt a sense of gratitude for the life they had built together, a life filled with love, laughter, and the promise of tomorrow.